The Peach Pirate is fully in action and professional disc golf is back, baby. What's up, Disgenerates? I'm Jefferson, half of the disc golf world, here to break down Ezra Robinson's first throws with Discraft, and by the end of the video, I'll even let you know all the discs in his bag that we know so far. First, I gotta give a quick shout out to everyone supporting us over on Patreon. Before we can go over Ezra's bag, we gotta discuss his first round, which happened to be at the first event of the Tour Down Under over in New Zealand. I believe it's pronounced Egmonster, but I'm not the best at pronouncing things overseas. I'll just let Luke Humphreys and Nate Perkins do that since they're the ones in the booth. Head over to the GoThrow channel for the full tournament, and the rest of the Tour Down Under coverage throughout the month with some of your favorite pros, including Aaron Gossage, Kevin Jones, Robert Burridge, Big Germ, and of course we get the first round with Ezra throwing Discraft. Thankfully he was on feature card and we can get a glimpse of how he's liking the plastic. Although, we should all know by now that he needs to use and abuse those discs a bit more to get the ideal flights. How about we jump in round one now?
Ezra, the Peach Pirate Robinson.
I'm glad the precedent has been set to call Ezra the Peach Pirate because that's for sure sticking on the disc golf world.
This is one of his pink forces that he's going to be throwing all day. He's got two of them that are pretty similar looking.
Figured I'd let the professionals give the insight on how Ezra's discs will fly, and that's totally not because I don't have any Discraft in my bag. If only someone could change that.
So Ezra's been throwing this Malta
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah, you don't hear about people throwing those much.
Pretty much never. I don't know any
No,
Discraft player on tour who bags that one.
that's you and I both.
Not a popular mold, but one that makes sense for Ezra's playing style. Being able to smash a stable mid-range and hyzer without worrying of it flipping over completely. Luke gives some insight on how the Malta compares to his previous Prodigy bag.
I think it kind of matches his M1.
Okay.
What he liked about the M1. Just a stable mid that he can hit on hyzer.
Just like a little bit more overstable than a Buzz.
I believe so, yeah.
Ezra might have been worried about the wind on his par putt, but I was more worried about that sunburn. Did you forget to pack the sunscreen? His luck didn't run out there, as on hole 3, his nuke slipped under the fence into the OB. Very unfortunate, but with the strong headwind, went with something more overstable than his forces. Turns out from those throws, might be a bit more beefy than he originally thought. Gotta hit a few more of those New Zealand trees Nate Perkins loves to talk about. Hole 4, instead of being like everyone else in forehanding, Ezra elects to go big Anheuser with the pipeline, a straight but controllable fairway driver. Short about 60 feet, Ezra takes his sonar by the hip, hit the tree, and swoops in the RPM bowl for birdie. Hopefully a sign for the future. Young New Zealand local Levi Stout also found himself on feature card, and after watching that buttery putt, had to show he has some skills as well. Those putts were so impressive, it scared Goose. Hey, he needs some sort of excuse after not only missing the birdie putt, but then the par, followed by the bogey, next was the birdogey, didn't stop there, and took the 5-putt triple bogey. It's refreshing to see even the professionals have moments like these. Moving on from that onto a more positive note, what about another disc in Ezra's bag? That being the Raptor. Wouldn't be a Discraft player if he didn't have one of those. Also, I'll recap every known disc in his bag by the end of the video, because there's some he didn't throw on coverage, so make sure to stay until the end. For now though, we'll let the boys on commentary keep filling you in.
Just a Malta? Or no, that's a fairway.
Yeah, I think he's going Undertaker on this one.
Yeah, that sounds right. Doesn't really turn it enough, though.
I honestly don't know what disc Ezra is throwing here, but him not usually going forehands, I want to say zone. Feels like a safe bet. There might be less Discraft players not bagging a zone than using the Malta. And then there's Ezra doing stuff like this. You think he's missing those PA3s now? That's a joke, of course. I'm sure he's loving every second of the new plastic and people actually buying his signature discs. And it's not just for the ass jokes, but lots of them were. 30 minutes later, and I just watched more post coverage than I did in the past 3 years. But we're not done yet. We still got the whole back half to go. Starting it off with an island on the island. The Kiwis enjoy themselves OB close to the basket, that's for sure, forcing players to make decisions on landing zones and if they're gonna run dangerous putts or not. And the wind doesn't make it any easier. A matter of inches could be the difference between strokes, and when conditions are keeping scores low, they matter more than ever. Unfortunately for Ezra, he would find more of that OB after a turned over approach resulting in another bogey, putting him over par headed into hole 13.
Not getting it all the way over. He's still learning these discs. Still fairly fresh, too. We all know how good plastic gets when it's just a little beat in. Ezra's a month short of that, maybe a couple weeks.
It is important to remember that Ezra still has to figure out his bag, and for everyone saying he's had plenty of time to do that already, here's him literally writing Flippy on a 4 so he can distinguish between the two.
Look at this.
Oh, is that where he writes Flippy on it?
Must be still differentiating his two different pink forces.
That's funny.
Secured the birdie and back to even for the round after 13 holes. Not even an awkward patent pending upshot could stop Ezra from smashing this putt for birdie on the next hole. Pured the gap on 15 with his personal favorite mid-range for the easiest birdie yet. That's until the next hole where he would show the youngster why everyone needs to stop sleeping on the Malta. After Braden Sides would find himself in trouble, walked away with a tough double bogey and a 2-stroke swing between him and Ezra, who just put together 4 birdies in a row and now 3 under for the round, which landed him on lead card for day 2 alongside Luke Humphreys, who shot the hot round at 7 down, followed by Robert Burge at 5 under, and finding Aiden Scott tied up with Ezra, who will continue to learn about his bag the next round. But also for those curious, Burge and Scott are now rocking open bags too, as they haven't announced a main manufacturer sponsor.
I believe he's in between sponsors right now. It's been Lone Star last couple of years, no longer. I think he's still an enforcer right there off the tee.
That was actually a general, but it's really going to be fun watching some top talent throw a mix of favorites from all sorts of brands. Aiden, who made his splash with Prodigy, is chucking a PD2 here to kick off round 2. Ezra's been throwing the Malta a lot, but here's the first time he's broken out a throwing putter.
Nice. I think that's Kratos.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Made the adjustment on hole 2, this round going up the middle with a buzz, but the strong wind stopped Ezra from capitalizing on that putt. Thankfully for him, Luke caged it as well. This time, Rob goes enforcer into the headwind, needing a distance shot that he can trust not to turn over into the OB, and more importantly, not go under the fence like Ezra did earlier.
Into the fence, stays in bounds. We saw Ezra go under the fence yesterday with this exact disc. Looks like the rain's kind of coming down right now too.
Looks like the nuke is kind of taking the spot over those pink forces.
The nuke has been looking good for Ezra on power shots from all over. I can see that being a staple in his bag for the future. Then again, do we really need 2 Ezra nukes? The answer to that is yes. Nate had a question for all of you, so make sure to comment below.
Well, there's a ton of Dragon Ball Z fans out there in the disc golf world.
Someone needs to study the Ezra non-putt but not really a throw approach. Amazes me every time he pulls it out and does it the very next hole from even farther. Please, somebody out there do the research. For the people. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna need someone out there to find out why Birds chose juries to putt with. Out of everything, that's what you're choosing? Aiden still might be using the P3X, but at least he smacked a good putt to bounce back after a double bogey.
This is one of those European Open cloud breakers.
Another banger putt from Aiden. Maybe I shouldn't be so quick to dog his putter. Then again, he isn't sponsored by Prodigy anymore, so he probably doesn't care. Kind of like Ezra when he finds himself in the weirdest positions, yet still manages to score well.
Ezra going Undertaker. Didn't turn this one as much as he needed to yesterday, and this is wow.
This is another hole that Ezra made the correction on. This time, the Undertaker getting the drift to the right he was looking for. Give him a few weeks to fully understand his bag, and he'll be tearing it up. I mean, look at this pull with the force outdriving everyone. And I'm sure that disc is brand new. Imagine a couple more tree kicks, and these discs might never hit the ground again. He went back to the Kratos for a short approach, but ended up going long, nestling up near circle's edge. The distance, uphill, and slanted green didn't faze Ezra as he went on to dunk that putt. Luke snagged his birdie, putting him at 10 under for the event and a 2-stroke lead over the field. Continued the solid play with a drive landing in C1, followed by Ezra going straight OB. At least he was able to nail the circle 2 putt to save par. Aiden didn't want to get big putted, so naturally he hit the birdie putt, taking a stroke on Luke since he couldn't connect on his. Hey, could have been worse. I mean, it could have been like this OnlyFans type spit out Ezra had on hole 9. I thought these baskets were supposed to fix that. Only for Burge to get done even dirtier. Back to the drawing board. Or let's realize elevating the basket changes things drastically. Rob bounced back with a solid shot using his felon. Starting to notice a lot of dynamic in his bag. Just saying. Ezra goes OB for the 3rd hole in a row, and strangely, after looking locked up, Burge went off the chains into the OB for a wild birdogey. What might be even crazier is his roller on the next hole. Luke said it was the furthest he had ever seen someone on this fairway, and he made the typical par 5 look like a walk in the park. Just like hole 12, where we'd go a bit deep, but made the putt on the knee like it was nothing. Aiden then drilled his birdie, and Ezra rounded out the 3, taking a stroke on the leader. Let's take a break from the disc golf and use this moment to appreciate how good of a card mate Ezra is. Climbing a tree to get Burge's disc back. No way I'm ever doing that for Swiss. Oh yeah, and he did end up getting the disc back instead of re-teeing. Karma didn't have Ezra's back, banging it right off the cage as Rob sneaks his birdie in right after. Wonder if he's regretting climbing that tree yet.
Ooh, Ezra's frustrated right now, Luke.
He is, and his hands have to feel a type of way after climbing a tree. We all know what that feels like. You're grabbing bark, you're up there for a while, he was shaking the tree.
Robert, man of the trees, gets saved from sailing past the basket to now a routine birdie look. As Nate Perkins would say, the course giveth and the course taketh, as Burge rolls much farther than the 20 feet it originally hit. When most are going fairway, Ezra throws the Malta on a rope 380 feet. Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for what we're going to see out of him this season. At this point, Luke has dropped a couple too many putts off the lip of the basket, self-admittedly misreading the wind, but this time, he would lose the lead. Heading into hole 18 with the wind gusting, a shorter par 5 with OB all around. And yes, Ezra found it. But the tricky part is the island green surrounded by hazard, and yes, Ezra found that too. Aiden had an open look to run the green, going off the pole, keeping him on the final round lead card. Humphreys had a putt in between the hay bales, but ended his round with a birdie, putting the pressure on Burge, who was looking for the outright lead. I guess tied for first isn't all that bad either. Ezra might have gotten kicked from coverage, but he'll make a return, so stay tuned. Also, got more discs from his bag to reveal. But first, let's find out who won, because right now, it's anyone's for the taking. Same card, except we got Eli Swanson, who I'm sure went to New Zealand to escape these stupid Wisconsin winters. The wind was blowing harder than Tina out there for the final round, which made for an interesting watch over on the Go Throw channel. Burge would take the lead early after a park job on hole 2, avoiding any sort of putting in these conditions. Just gotta ask Braden for how hard it is. Out of Luke's hand, the putt was gone, and the roll down the hill into OB didn't help one bit, walking away with a double bogey. And after a layup from Rob, that would still be a 2-stroke swing, now giving him a 3-stroke lead. However, in this wind, he's going to want a few more. And would do just that, snagging 2 more on Luke the next hole, who now wouldn't even have control of second place. After Burge threw 2 textbook shots, he would be left with a short putt for birdie on hole 6. Just look at that flag for how hard the wind was pushing. Didn't matter as he would sink it. Took that momentum and unleashed a bomb on his next drive, setting up for an easy approach. Well, nothing is easy on this green. The slope wants to drag everything OB, and let's not forget about that ripping wind. Humphreys would suffer walking away with another double, and since Luke is my dude, I'm going to stop reporting on his round now. You'll see why at the end. The focus seems to be on Robert Burge. Well, that's what we get to see at least, because Chandler Fry and Ezra Robinson both making a run, only back 4 with 9 left to play on the chase card. But with that wind and some challenging holes, there's plenty of action to go. Bogeyed hole 10 to start off the back half. Not a good sign. Neither is missing another short putt, this time resulting in a double bogey, shrinking his lead to now only 2 strokes over Eli. Didn't take long for Burge to get back on track, parking hole 12 with his enforcer, and got more redemption connecting with a short birdie on 13. We just won't talk about the miss on 14. Hole 15, Eli would clutch up on the bogey putt in the nasty wind, and nearly aced hole 16 with his Draco. Burge's triple X, the disc, not the boner pills, turned straight into the crowd in what ended in a double bogey. After the roll, Eli would be a bit deep, but nailed the putt knowing how important it was, getting 3 strokes on Rob and now being tied up top the leaderboard. 2 holes to play and the wind not slowing down. Burge from circle's edge would step out like a handler and drain the putt, taking back the lead going into the last hole. Actually, he would be tied for the lead as Chandler would be on hole 18 sitting at 9 down. Fry would go OB off his drive, then another 2 hazard shots, ending his round with a triple bogey after he was 6 under through 17. Ezra somehow got himself inside the circle for birdie, but couldn't quite make the putt. The door now wide open for Burge to win with a par or better. He played the hole safe and in position for an approach. Missed the hay bale by a matter of inches, sailing straight into the hazard. Now had this putt for the win, but wasn't able to get it done, which means we get bonus disc golf between Robert Burridge and Ezra Robinson in his first tournament with Discraft. Headed back to hole 10 and its small green. After winning the coin toss, Ezra elected to go first, which feels weird in these conditions. I kinda understand wanting to strike fear in your opponent or not wanting extra nerves, but in this wind, probably better to get a read of some kind, plus it's not backhand friendly at all. And going straight OB gives a big relief to Burridge, who essentially knows he can't lose here unless he really F's it up. But that didn't happen. He was able to lay up for the win and took down the Egmonster Classic, the first of 4 Tour Down Under events. If you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to drop a like. But before we end the video, let's do a quick recap of the new discs in Ezra's bag that we know. You saw him dropping dope putts and missing some easy ones with the sonar. Seems like he's going to be throwing the Kratos. That's when he isn't making the Malta look underrated. But don't worry, he's still a Discraft player, so there's a buzz there. And I'm going to assume a zone 2 because that just feels fair. We saw him bust out the Undertaker and pipeline for shots that he wanted some understability. He's launching the Force for max distance shots, but when he needs something with a bit more overstability, he has his nukes. He's still an Ezra after all. And then what we didn't see on coverage, at least I don't think we did, was an Athena. But that's okay. You can check out his first Discraft ace instead, which he hit with, you guessed it, an Athena. That's all we know so far from his first tournament, but I'm sure there will be a full in the bag posted somewhere soon, so stay on the lookout. Next week is the Memorial, so if you want the recap, make sure to subscribe. But in the meantime, plenty more disc golf content coming your way.